This is Fireman Ed, and you're listening to Jets Commute, Monday through Friday from 8 to 10 a.m. Jet fans, let's rock MetLife Stadium this year. J-E-T-S, Jets, Jets, Jets. Go Jets! This is Fireman Ed, and you're listening to Jets Commute, Monday through Friday from 8 to 10 a.m. Jet fans, let's rock MetLife Stadium this year. J-E-T-S, Jets, Jets, Jets. Go Jets! This is Fireman Ed, and you're listening to Jets Commute, Monday through Friday from 8 to 10 a.m. Jet fans, let's rock MetLife Stadium this year. J-E-T-S, Jets, Jets, Jets. Go Jets!
It's like a blizzard. Like I'm talking, 10 inches. But then the normal temperature is warm. So then, like in a couple days, it's all gone.
Yeah. Mark, the offensive line is really banged up, man.
Yeah, Pete, I've been thinking about I haven't really been in, and I've been thinking about this game. And I mean, whatever. It may sound like a non-answer, but I really don't know what to expect. Like, I could fully see the Jets going into Arizona. It's an away game. Everyone's excited about the Cardinals. They're becoming like a new hotness. And it's like, oh, well, they could be firing on all cylinders. And like things can be happening. And talented team playing complimentary football and blah, blah. And then I can see the Jets going in there and laying an egg.
So do I.
But then on the flip
can
side, but then on the flips, and plus, they could jet it up and just, what I mean, and be plagued by mistakes and like all that stuff could still happen. But then on the flip side, it's like they just had, a solid half of football where it looked like they have two number one wide receivers, and they could be making the transition from being a run first team to being a pass first team with these guys, and using the pass to actually to support the run game. I would prefer they do a 50-50 run pass distribution, but look, you got Devontae Adams, you got Garrett Wilson, and when you put them on the boundaries, how many teams have corners that could deal with both of those players?
The answer is none, Mark. They got to exploit that. They got to exploit it somehow. Rodgers has to find a way in Downing.
And their pass defense isn't incredible, so there's a path there too. I just don't. They are schizophrenic. I don't know what to expect out of this team. I can't tell you this though: if the Jets win the game, it's because the Jets played their potential. If they lose it, I think it'll be Jet-like errors. And I'm not trying to take anything away from Arizona, but I've seen this team lose games all on their own, regardless of the excuse me, regardless of the quality of the competition. Like,
Yeah.
they've lost a lot of games this year. So, I don't know, man. What do you think is going to happen?
I'm not confident, man. Until they can prove to me they could do something consistently, I'm not confident, Mark. I I mean, I'm consistent. I do this every day, but I can't, man. They they have to, and then now everybody's speculating about Douglas. Is he going to be back? He sounds like he's not coming back. Like, can we just get through this game, please?
Well, Pete, that makes sense to me because it's like, look, man, honestly, the fan base likes a punching bag. I'll be perfectly honest about it. Like, they went from Zach Wilson to Saleh to and now they're on Douglas. Like, there's gonna be a group of people that just they want everybody down, they want to tear it all down. But then honestly, they don't have answers. They don't have solutions about how to fix it. They don't have the first clue how to fix it, to be honest with you, from what I'm hearing and reading online and the rest of it. Like, all I know is what I'm seeing in the games. I take the jersey color off. I'm like, what am I seeing? I'm seeing an offense that's starting to function a little more, like, be very productive with Rodgers. Yeah, it's a half of
Yeah.
football. It's starting to look like something. I'm seeing a defense with Reddick that's starting to look like what we thought it was going to look like. Like, Reddick is starting to create pressure on the edge, and it's forcing quarterbacks to step up into the teeth of Quinn Williams. Like, we're
Correct.
starting to see little bits and pieces of what, and don't be surprised if then you start seeing the cornerback trio and the secondary start to light up because now the front four is functioning. Like,
Well, Mark, they
don't
did
know what
have
the
8
team is.
sacks, to be fair. They did. They did. I mean, everybody's going to say, oh, Houston was banged up or whatever.
Well,
And
their line
Quinn,
stinks.
right. And Quinnen, was playing against a backup or whatever. But hey, it's like you play who's on your schedule, you play who's in front of you.
Pete,
That's,
you know what? If Quinnen had it, look, if Quinnen had, an even performance, he would have gotten shitted on anyway because people have been like, oh, he's playing a backup. He can't even, do that. So, like, I'm sure there's folks who were down on Quinnen who were like, well, that's what he was supposed to do. You know what I mean? Listen,
yeah,
man, I
Mark.
just
And
want
I'm
this
not
team to win
knocking,
games.
yeah, I'm not knocking anybody that, wants Quinnen out of here because, I mean, it is, the Jets do have to make some tough decisions. Like even yesterday, I brought up, and Matty, you could jump in whenever, but about Jermaine Johnson. I mean, Mark, he's not going to play a game, and they have to
Yeah.
decide on his 5th-year option, and that's probably on the new GM, whoever comes in here. What do you do? I mean, it's $14 million,
Well,
and
I
look at
wouldn't
what
jump
they
to say
did with
new
eight.
GM, though, Pete. I wouldn't jump to that yet. We don't
Well,
know.
right, but didn't you just say it sounded like Douglas is out of here?
No, I think that I think the fans want everybody out of here, and that's one thing. But then I have to weigh what Woody Johnson has said, which is that he's been saying this is the most talented Jet team he's seen in a really long time. How do you say that and then fire the GM at the same time? I mean, I don't know how consistent Woody has been in terms of what he says and what he does, but that doesn't sound to me like he's doubting the talent. They're a talented team. I don't care what anybody says. They have talent on in all three phases. They have a ton of talent. People weren't wrong about that. Like, people that were saying, oh, maybe they're not as talented as we thought. That's bullshit, in my opinion. There's talent
Mark, I
everywhere
think
on
a
this
lot.
team, and they
Um,
added talent.
Mark, I think people overrated the roster. Like I overrated the Mike Williams sign, and I thought Mike Williams, especially after that catch against Tennessee, I'm like, we may have got something here with Rodgers, and then they just didn't. They didn't use him correctly, Mark and
Did you
guys.
see his
But
comments by the
yeah,
Steelers? Okay.
yes, yeah, Steven and Maddie. I don't want to talk to
Well, man,
Mark
I
all
was just
day.
gonna
No
say,
offense.
PD, I would the JJ thing is easy for me. I think it's just you pick it up because he's never been injured in his. I don't believe he's been injured in his college career, and this is his first injury in the NFL. And yes, it's a devastating one.
JJ will be 27 by the time next season gets going. Do you want to commit that kind of money?
Tom, I just looked it up. Sorry. If he's 25, he'll be 26 January 7th.
Okay, so
he'll be 26. So
okay.
when it's his 5th-year option, if they pick it up, he'll be 27.
Yeah.
So he is older. Yes, we knew that from Connie used to bring that up all the time.
If he is, if he shows any sort of health, like any sort of rebound from that Achilles, they might pick it up. I could easily see them not. I could easily see in them, telling him, hey, listen, play for your contract next year. You know what I mean? I just
right, Dom. Can I just make one point to you on that, just real quick, Dom? He's not gonna. They're only gonna see him in OTAs. That's it. That he can't. He's not gonna play a game. So they have to decide by May.
To my point.
Yeah. Right. Exactly.
To my point, they might say, listen, we don't know what you're coming back. Older prospect, we don't know what you're coming back with. Listen, as good as he is, and I think Jermaine Johnson is great. And when I say great, I'm not talking, top 5, top 10, edge in the league. But I think he's a great player, high motor guy. Never a problem, a positive, all the stuff that you really want. Like plays both sides well. Meaning getting at the passer and defending the run. So I would love him to come back, but it wouldn't surprise me. And this is where Joe Douglas, I think, has tried during his tenure to do it. Like the Ruckert pick, was taken with, at least as I see it, with the understanding that Conklin and Uzoma had 2-year deals. They would move out, Ruckert would move in, and it just hasn't really, manifested that way. You expected either Warren or Max Mitchell to ultimately become that swing tackle. It's still early, at least on Warren, but it necessarily hasn't manifested that way. You would hope that you would have a starter in the pipeline ready to go. So, if you want to move on, if you want to trade AVT after yet another injury and not pay him the 15.3, let somebody else extend him and sign him, you have that option. But really, right now you're hamstrung, right? Because all you have going into next year, if you get rid of him, is Joe Tippmann and John Simpson. They'd be the only ones under contract. So, anyhow, that's it.
Right. And Olu. So, I mean,
Olu.
we were
I
arguing.
forgot about Olu.
Yeah, it's all right. No, but we were talking about that the other day, Tom. Like, there's 3 guys, I forget who. I think it was James Cook, who's always in here from the Bills, Justin. And I think, I don't think the Jets' offensive line is as in bad shape as we think, but they need some kinks. They need some health too, man. They're banged up. Does Olu play at guard this week? Again, that's the question too. Good morning, June.
Good morning.
Well, Petey, to your point, I mean, we have I don't even know, like, God forbid if Tittman were to go down, who's the center?
Uh, Xavier Newman, but I think he's hurt too still.
No, yeah, he got hurt in the
Yes. Yeah, he got
primetime game, the scary injury.
The concussion, correct.
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't think he's going to be snapping anytime soon, that guy.
It's Alec Lindstrom. They signed him to the active roster 2 weeks ago.
Okay.
He was the former center / guard for the Falcons.
Yeah, that's right. That's right.
We're just talking, whoever wants to jump in.
No, but like PD, like you said, I mean, the Jets technically have 4 of their starters under contract for next year. They just need the right tackle.
PD, I got a question for you.
What? What's up?
When they're talking about like something, what's up? When they're talking about like Mike Williams being traded, why is it so hard for the Jets just to simply say, we got a lot of depth at the position, we want to give Mike a new opportunity, and that's it? Why does there have to be like this long sort of like soliloquy about Mike being a good guy and all these things? Why can't they just say that? Because it's like it's so simple to me.
Right,
we got a
lot
of good players at wide receiver. Mike, we want to give Mike a new shot. It didn't work out. Instead, it's like this like whole preamble, and I don't get it.
Well, that's where I said Salah. That's where Ulbrich reminds me of Salah, man. Like, just shut up and just move on.
Right.
You don't have to explain in depth.
Right. They're talking about like how good the guy. Like, it's just nothing changes here with this team.
Matty, we need a leader at the top.
Yep.
That's what we need. We need a leader.
And it's only going to get worse when
Woody goes. Wait, so you guys are out on Ulbrich being head coach next year?
No, I'm not saying that, Mark, but listen, he's new. He's a rookie coach. So I'm assuming if the Jets go on a run, Mark, I think you have to bring him back.
So
if they make the playoffs, they have to bring him back.
Even if the Jets made the playoffs, I'd bet the house that Joe and Ulbrich are not back.
No. So some guys are this whole Ulbrich thing, and he's new. Like, some guys just have it, and some guys don't have it. Some guys are meant to be the head coach, and some guys are meant to be a coordinator. He's not meant to be a head coach.
You're out on Ulbrich, Matt?
Yes, I'm out on Ulbrich. I don't think that he's a head coach. He's a good guy. He's not a head. Some people just have it, and some people don't. And hopefully you guys can read between the lines.
Well, I got a question for Mark Torres. Mark, I'm singling you out here. Are you here?
Yes, I'm here.
Mark Torres, during the coaching offseason, is Robert Saleh a part of your, hiring process again? Do you think the Jets should re-interview him? Mark, I'm obviously trolling. I'm kidding.
I mean, look, man. What? So they could hire him and then fire him and then go 1-3 again and like repeat history?
Mark, I usually don't do that to you, but I'm messing with you, man.
Look, I think the Downing shift was the right move. I think there was a little too much change to I don't know if they did the right thing. We'll see, man. I said when we started the room, like, this team is schizophrenic. At this point, I don't know. They could lay an egg against Arizona. I wouldn't be surprised if they fall out against Arizona. Dom, mute up.
Dom, is that you?
Sorry, guys.
You're unmuted. It's all right. I'll mute you. You're good.
Good morning, fellas.
Yeah,
what's up, Jigga? How you doing?
It's really just chilling.
Cool.
How y'all doing?
We're here, man. Every day. Talking about a 3-6 football team.
Talking Jets.
Petey, this is just where, like I said, I'm taking the Texan. I just enjoyed the Texan game for what it was. It was a fun night, but until they actually prove it, like I'm still.
Well, right. About, like, now, Steven, let me ask you something. Can you hear me?
Yeah.
So let's just say in quotation marks the Jets win, and who cares how they win? Is this considered a nice win on the road for a team? They're over 500 now. Like, Arizona's not. No, throw around team, right?
Yeah.
So of course, this actually is going to show me
any win is a nice win on the road, Petey. Petey, any win is a nice win on the road.
Yes, but you have fans that, complaining about, even if we would have beat Denver by 1 point, Dom, or 2 points, it would have been 12-10.
No,
We would
not
have
in
had
that
people
game.
that
No. See, that was a different entity. That game was a windy, rainy game. It was a different entity. It was a
but
game that.
people bring up Mike White's game, Maddie. I'm just saying, not you.
No,
That's
that has
not
nothing to do.
that's not.
The Mike White thing has nothing to do with what we're talking about. The Denver game was a new entity. It was a rainy game. I know it rained on the Mike White game. What I'm saying is that those two particular teams with Denver and the Jets, they were both defensive teams that it was going to be an ugly game. One team was going to win the game 13-10 and the other team wasn't. Like there was nobody was going to win that game 27-3. It wasn't going that result did not exist on that day.
I agree with you, Maddie, and I know you were there. I know people said it wasn't really raining. Maddie, it was constant rain the whole game, man. That shit did not let up all game, and you know it.
Yeah, I mean, look, this particular season took a lot out of me because even after they lost to Buffalo, I was like in the spaces and I tweeted out, here's like their path to still getting to 9-8 or 10-7. I was like looking at the schedule and I was trying to be optimistic. But when I saw them play, when I saw them come out versus, just sort of like fold versus Pittsburgh, and then they looked really soft versus the Patriots. It was disheartening.
That's
Yeah,
why,
I agree.
Maddie, that's why, like, it was actually surreal in a good sense that they actually, because after the Corley mishap, I thought that, because there's always seems to be something in every game where it's like, oh, here we go, this happened, and now this team's gonna fold and go into a shell and everything. Because you looked at it, there was the Corley play, and then the 98-yard drive the defense let up. I thought that was like it, or it was like, all right, here we go. Houston's going to go on a run, and we'll just no show. So it was a nice, happy surprise that they actually came out in the second half and scored 3 touchdowns and showed up, and then to actually ice the game with the touchdown to Adams, that was something different. Where I was just expecting them to kind of like go, just play it safe and go for like get the first down, and if they don't get it, give it back to Houston eventually. But to ice it actually with the touchdown was nice. Like you said, Petey, this is where if they're gonna do anything, like they have to go on a run and just play up to their potential because as bad as this team, as bad as the record was, this was never a 2-6 football team. Obviously, we just saw how bad the coaching was, but the talent on this team, yes, you could say obviously we all probably overrated it, but at the same time, we still had enough talent that at worst we should be a 7 to 9 win team. Like that's
Yeah, but
our
Steven,
I'm gonna
right,
disagree.
but
talent.
yeah,
Go
but
ahead, Pete.
real quick, and good morning, Charles, and everybody else. But Steven, I almost called you Matty. That's unacceptable this year, though. With all the money they spent, they brought Rodgers in, they brought Mike Williams in,
And
they
I'm not
brought
saying, yeah,
Tyron
I'm not
Smith
saying
in.
it's acceptable,
No,
but I'm saying
right. Go ahead.
I'm
You're
just
good.
saying that I'll say it for myself. I obviously underrated how horrible the coaching could keep this team down. Whereas I don't even think it's more like, for example, like the offense. I don't think, just like Salah, I don't think Ulbrich has anything to do with the offense. It's been more about just switching from Hackett to Downing. I think going from Hackett to Downing, if we would have done that from the start, we could have maybe gotten some better results
That should have
in the
happened,
Minnesota
Steven.
and Denver games
Yes.
just to like have some
No,
plays.
I think it should have happened after the Denver game, to be
Yeah.
honest. That's when it should have happened. And then what did they go to? They went to London after the Denver game?
It should have happened in the offseason.
Well, right, Dom. Right. Exactly. I agree. But
Yeah,
I think
it should have happened in the offseason. And I know that Robert Saleh wanted it to, but,
Can I get in here?
here we are.
Can I get in
Yeah,
here,
go
please?
ahead.
So, Stephen, to your points, and I hear what you're saying. I do disagree with a couple of your points. I think in terms of overrating the talent, I don't think you overrated the talent. This team has a lot of talent. I think you've got, and I understand people smacking up the coaching, which is fair. I think the shift from Hackett to Downing, I think we had concerns about that going into week 1. But in terms of, this isn't a 2-6 team, in my mind, they are a 2. It's like, that's exactly who they are. because that's how you're playing. Like, your record is what you are. And as much as coaching, we could say it's the coaching and the rest of it. Look, I'm sorry, man. Like, the coach isn't responsible for Rodgers hitting Garrett Wilson in the chest plate and the ball bouncing off him and turning into a pick. He's not responsible for Brees trying to calculate, okay, well, I'm going to run after catch, and then, again, getting hit in stride, dropping the ball, or an uncharacteristic drop from Devontae Adams. Like, you can't – the players haven't been playing – they're not executing to their potential, and that's the reason why the team has been bad. You got Zerline, who was lights out last year. He was like a top scorer at one point on the team, and then he's starting to flub and miss stuff, and the Jets lost 3 games with kicking. The players are not executing to their potential. We saw it in one half last week. I know it feels like a million years ago because it was a Thursday night game and we're all just waiting.
Mark, it really does,
game.
man. Like this is like a long break.
Yeah. So that's what I wanted to say, is that I think that the talent is there. Folks that are saying, oh, well, maybe we overrated the talent. I don't think that's the case. I think the talent just isn't playing to their potential.
Yeah, but all right. I want to get Charles in on this because Charles is Mr. Not like me, same old Jet, but longtime Jet. I want to hear Charles, what he has to say.
Morning, Pete. Good morning, guys. Yeah, I just, not to beat a dead horse, the roster is a component to your program, right? It's an important it's an important component with, generally speaking, if you have a better roster, the team plays better. But it's a piece. And if everyone pretty much was aligned here that this was a very good team coming into this year, whether we overrated it a little or not or otherwise, the underperformance has to be a managerial thing, which is your coaching staff. And I think all of us knew over the last 3 years coming in that we were going to gunfights with a knife as far as coaching is concerned. So, yeah, I think the roster is solid and good, but too many people on paper look at a roster and say, this team's winning the division. We're better than Buffalo. We're the third best team in the league. No, your record tells you what you are. And we are what Mark said we are. You are what your record is.
Wow. Charles on the Mark side.
You see eye to eye a lot, because look, man, that's what the team is. Like, there's boneheaded mistakes where they're flubbing, they're stepping on their foot to lose games. It's not even because, and I'm not taking stuff away from the competition, but how often do you see in this team, they won in spite of colossal dysfunction in the Texan game?
Absolutely.
Forget,
right? How about watching games where you can't get the play in, guys? Everyone here watches football. Do you see that anywhere else, like to that extent? Have you seen that in your life? Not just the Jets, okay? Watching football. I mean, even in a college game when there's 100,000 people roaring, it doesn't look like that.
Yeah. But Mark, but we're not the only people that overrated the roster, and Charles neither. Like all these and I know they're analysts, and they're same people as us, but a lot of people picked the Jets to win the division. A lot of people.
Because a lot of those analysts are doing it based on paper. To them, it's like, it's a show. So it doesn't matter to be precise. But to be fair, there were certain sites or entities saying the Jets weren't going to be great this year, and we killed them. And they turned out to be more right than wrong.
Yeah, I mean, look, if he makes those 3 kicks, if he makes the kicks, we're right there. I mean, we're right there in line, competing for the division. He doesn't. And unfortunately, the margin for error on this team and really throughout the NFL has been there's a lot of parity in the NFL. So, little things like that, little kicks, little penalties are huge in today's NFL.
To that point, Maddie, you saw in preseason that the incumbent kicker might be an issue. And you had a kicker on the roster who outkicked him. And it was actually, I think he has the highest, percentage of made field goals in the league. So once again, that's all true that our kicker cost us games, but good management might have seen something coming.
But Charles, I will say on that, the kicker was great last year. So this idea.
But you know how the kickers work, Matt. They're all great until they're not. We got Zerline because he was a beast where he was, and then he got into the crappy streak.
But
when we got Nick Folk from Dallas, it was the same
but a
thing.
lot of people might, Charles, a lot of people might have said that was if let's say they cut Zerline, I don't know, after the preseason, or they cut him after the first game. A lot of people might have said that was a rash decision, maybe.
Yes, absolutely. But what would have turned out, a great manager doesn't care if it's rash or how it's perceived. He wants, the best possible circumstance. So to your point, yes, people would have questioned it, but in reality, it would have been better.
I hear you, but I could have also seen like an avalanche of fans saying, only the Jets would cut the best kicker in the NFL.
That would have happened. No, what you just said is what would have happened.
Yeah, that would have happened for sure.
Matty, it reminds me of last year where I feel like the Jets don't have a great just backup plan because, like you said, I wasn't willing to cut him after, what was it, the Denver game, I think was the first time people were saying because of the preseason. But I think just like with last year with Rodgers' injury, you always have to be aware and have a backup plan, especially if you see signs. And if you get you just got to be ready to pull the trigger quick. And I'm not saying week one or two, but when he missed, especially after the Buffalo game, I know we ended up getting blown out by Pittsburgh, but just for the reassurance, because I think he missed a kick in Pittsburgh. Anyway,
I hear you, but it was also there was some nuance to this whole dialogue. Like, for example, the Denver game was raining and windy, and he missed a 52-yarder, which a lot of kickers would have missed. The Buffalo game had really bad winds, so there was some nuance to the whole
Matty,
thing.
look at the kick Graham Gano missed last year against the Jets that made them win the game. It was a chip shot, and he missed it against the Giant Jet game. Office, real quick, let me just make one point. The fact that the Jets, I'm going back to it. They had a chance to tie Buffalo at 2-3. They had a chance, and they didn't, which is crazy. And they fired the coach. I just think it was all bad timing. Sorry. I'm not trying to say I wanted to keep Saleh here, but it was a bad move. I think it made the team more dysfunctional.
The number one thing I'll say is with Saleh, without Saleh, I don't think this team ultimately was going to go anywhere. And the one thing it does assure, because the one thing I'm not getting sucked, like anyone can convince me is unless the Jets with Ulbrich make a run and an actual playoff run to a title game, I don't think there's a chance Ulbrich and Douglas come back, even if the Jets make the playoffs and anything, because aside from a playoff run, I don't think they're going to. I don't think this is going to get lost in the fact that because this team's not going to get into the playoffs enough to where if they get into the playoffs, it'll be by sneaking in and somehow, some way, a tiebreaker goes their way like we did in 2009, where because I don't think they definitely want to reset. You don't fire your head coach and everything like this and then not have a reset. Because I think Woody is hoping for a run, but I'm hoping he ultimately knows that they need to, especially if he's leaving, they need to reset this team in a good way. And that's why I've never heard of anyone say the Jets need a president, except for the last few weeks. Podcasters and people have said they need a hierarchy at the top to oversee everything, because I don't think they want Christopher to do it again. At least I hope not, because it didn't go well.
But Steven, 1 second here. But Charles, go ahead.
I was just going to say, I agree with what he says for the most part, with one exception. If they did make the playoffs, it would probably represent a colossal run, right? Because we'd have to win 9 games. So if you have that kind of momentum and a stupid owner, it's quite possible that, he's satisfied.
Yeah, Steven, that's where it's not you're losing me here. If they make the playoffs, now, listen, we have to get this playoff drought. I believe there's some Jet fans that, just want to blow it up, and it's fine. But I want to get rid of this playoff drought. I don't even care if we get smoked in the playoffs. I really don't.
Well, that's where you and me are different. If you told me we went 7, so we were 2-6, and we go 7-2, make the playoffs, and then lose in the playoffs, but re-sign Ulbrich to 2 years in a Raider Antonio Pierce situation, because I'm not looking to I understand but we haven't made the playoffs for 14 years. I'd rather reset and get good get good leadership in here in the front office and head coaching to where we can become a consistent playoff team.
I agree with that 100%, Stephen. And it falls to this, right? What we think they should do and what they will do.
Yeah.
I'm 100% online with you. I've seen enough.
Because we haven't made the playoffs. I forgot what it feels like to be in the playoffs, but I'm not going to get like, oh, I want this
You're not
joy
going to
of
get
one.
fooled into try to keep this the same when you know that it's just not going to work long term. But the question is, what does he do? Meaning the owner.
Yeah.
I love you guys, man. I love you guys. PD,
Mr. Tear It Down.
PD Mark, are you listening to what these guys are saying?
Yeah,
I'm
I did.
listening
And by
through
the way,
gritted teeth.
June.
Okay.
Keep going.
Yeah, June. By the way, I know you were. I went at you big time for it with getting rid of Zerline, and
Yep. And now look.
you know, no, I know that, but at the same time, these guys brought up good points because the fact of the matter is that if the Jets would have got rid of Zerline based on that, that would have been a head scratching move. Not now, but in the preseason when he missed those two.
But just like what Steven said, a good coach don't give a fuck about what's said about
You're
him. He
right.
makes
And
the move.
Charles said it too. We don't have a leader. And
Yeah.
is Ulbrich the guy? Probably not. But I just
No,
can't
he's
see,
not.
Steven, if they lose in the first round of the playoffs and they make the playoffs, and I'm not saying they are, Steven, I think they're going to run it back with these guys again.
And that's
And I guess that's my denial in how because we, like Charles said, we know how this should go. Like, even if they go on a run, it's not going to be because, like, we could see the inklings of it. Like, I just hope they don't. I guess I'm just in denial. Maybe Charles is right, and the owner will. But
yeah, well, can I just save Mark Torres from putting a mouth guard in and grinding his teeth? Mark.
Well,
if you're I want to hear what you have to say on this, but you're right. Let Office jump in here and
we'll moderate.
And Maddie and ATH.
I'm just. Oh, someone going to talk?
Office, are you ready to talk? Are you in the office or not?
Good morning, everybody. PD, June, Mark, Charles. The man can finish out his thought if he'd like. It's all good.
Maddie, jump in.
I'm just curious if there's anyone in here who's speaking that, based on the second half of that game or anything else that they've seen, really believes that they're capable of going on a run.
Maddie, the only thing, and this was just because I had flashbacks to it because I looked at the box score. The only thing that got me was, like, if they start to turn into like the 2015 offense in terms of it's just Devontae, Garrett, Brees, and Conklin. And because I looked at the box score, Devontae and Garrett had like 9 catches each, and it reminded me of like Decker and Marshall.
I hear you, but that football team, you're right. This team reminds me a lot of that football team, but that football team was barely winning games. All their wins were they were barely eking out wins that season. I know a lot of people who are younger have fond memories of that team because, the Jets have sucked for the last 15 years, and that was like really the one bright light in that time. But I look at that team as sort of like a fluff team.
It was a mercenary. It was a veteran team. It was It was only going to work for like what it was supposed to do, 2 years, and it actually only did it for 1. But you're right, because that year was a fun year. We can't claim it as fun because it ended on the last day so horrifically.
I just never thought the team was that good in 2015. I never thought that they had a heartbeat.
Oh no, I disagree. I disagree in the sense that if we could have won that game in Buffalo, I think that team would have been a tough out in the play. That team had that specific look, long term, Fitzpatrick and everything. Yes, it showed itself the following year. The offense went against the defense went against the offense. But for that 1 year, that was a really good team because they had, like you said, they played close games, but they were winning them. They came back against the Giants. They came back against the Patriots and everything like that. Like that specific team, I just can't ever say it was a fun year because it ended in Buffalo in a horrific fashion. But if that team could have made the playoffs, that team was complementing offense and defense. It had the running game with Ivory and Powell. I'll disagree, but I get what you're saying, because if that team was going to succeed, it was only going to be for one, or it was all veterans. It was all veterans.
I think the reason that particular year some fans thought that they might have had a chance of going on a run if they won that Buffalo game was because the AFC was really soft that year. Denver came
Yeah.
out of it that year,
Yeah.
and the rest of the AFC was pretty soft.
No, yeah, it completely was. The Bengals were not. It was the who was that? The Red Rifle. Dalton. It was the Dalton Bengals. It was Pittsburgh who wasn't. It was all the only threat in the AFC that year was actually just Denver's defense, which was like gets lost from here and there as being like, it's not historic, but for that one year, that defense carried that team to a Super Bowl. And I don't think we would have got past them. I think it would have been a fun game, but that's all. I'll always die on that hill about the 15-year could have been a really special fun year, but we can't remember it as that because of how it ended.
You know what's cool, sir? The good thing is, even though y'all are 3 games below 500 per se, think about how quickly you can chop the number tree down, right? Like if you win one game, you're only, you go from half to a third, right? Like at least the numbers for this particular year and a potential run for the Jets, it kind of works out in your favor. Where it's going to be tough is if it does work out in your favor, how much do they
Tiebreaker.
burn up? How much do they burn up physically to close the gap, right? Like closing the gaps where you're going to use a lot of your energy, you know what I mean? But once they do close the gap, that's where you're going to see if it, pans out. But the number tree is kind of in y'all's favor for a run. I mean, other teams can't say that if they can't cut. One win doesn't cut them from half to a third that easy. Like that's easy money. 20%'s a big jump, right?
Listen. It's not
Just
impossible.
optimistically.
It's not impossible to go on a run, and we all here want to go on a run. But one thing I think we'll all agree on: they lose Sunday, okay? I don't want to
It's
come back
over.
on here next week and start talking about a run anymore, right? Because the next
Agreed.
two
Agreed.
That
are
makes it tough,
mandate
buddy.
to even talk about this.
Well, yeah, because that's how quick it also stretches that number gap on you too, right, Charles? Like the number gap can shrink pretty good, or yeah, that's where they're kind of in limbo. That's a great
If you're
point,
talking
sir.
about a run after a loss this week, you should go to Hackensack Medical. Honestly,
Amen.
Hey, all agreed. I'm with Petey though. If you can get into playoffs, that's what I'm shooting for. This team has talent, and once you get in there, anything can happen. We have seen wild card teams win the Super Bowl. So give me that chance to go in there. And if not, and I know what we're saying about then that sets us back. But who's to say Woody hasn't made his decision? And we'll still change the head coach. And now you got a playoff team looking for a head coach. You may be able to lure somebody that you really want.
Yeah, Woody's like the window with his decisions. Doug Marone was going to be the coach until he wasn't.
Yeah.
I mean, this
Yeah.
But
and that.
Charles, let me jump in here real quick, and then Brian and Hogs. Real quick, you mean to tell me that? And I get the Jets quarterback situation, but Brees Hall, not Rogers, Garrett Wilson, Sauce, Brees Hall, these young guys that they have, that nobody's going to want to coach these guys. Come on, to me that's where a lot of people lose me.
Where I'm lost is this grass is greener. It's like, all right, we'll get rid of the coach. Well, then you get the next coach. Like, what's the guarantee that person's better? You get the GM, you fire the GM, great. Fire the GM. There's no guarantee the next guy's better because the decision-making process still is like, I'm a bird in hand guy when it comes to this team. Folks have been talking about ancient history of the 2015 team, and they're already looking at 2025 and onward. Like, I'm sorry, man. I really don't care about any of that right now. It's a one-game season with Arizona. And there's a ton of talent on this team. You have Rodgers. It's the most important position on the team, and Rodgers still has it. We don't even know what the quarterback will be. in those future regimes. I don't
Right.
care who the coach GM are. So what do we do?
How do we know the kid from Florida State isn't going to be a quarterback? He did pretty good at Florida State. He is a leader.
A new coach might not be better, but it's going to be a different coach.
But he's learning.
It might not be better, but it'll be different.
Mark,
He's
there's
learning
times-
under Rodgers right now. He is learning.
Mark, there are times I agree with that philosophy that you just outlined 100%. And there are times also where you're too quick to pull the plug. And you could really, any important decision, you could use the parameters you just outlined, right? You never know what your next guy is going to be. This could be in my office or your office. But as far as the GM is concerned, 6 years, right? He's had 6 years to give me something really definitive. So moving on from him, I think the juice is worth the squeeze.
But he is better than Didzik.
But it's
Yeah, but
got
that's
two
not- yeah.
years to suck, not 6
Hector,
years.
that's not saying much. And
Right.
Charles,
Yeah,
let me ask you something.
That was said.
Wait.
That was said in fun.
And it was good.
Charles, real quick, did you hear the Douglas little snippets yesterday?
Yeah,
No?
he sounds like a guy that wasn't fired yet, but knows to have any chance to return, they'd have to make the playoffs and finish incredibly strong.
All right,
that's
where
what
I
I
was going
took
to
from
add.
that.
So you read my mind. That's
Yeah,
where I was going with
that's
that.
where I thought that was. But Mark, to your point about that philosophy of you don't know what the next is going to be. My concern with bringing Ulbrich back is I don't know this, but I think he'll retain most of his coaches, and that's the problem. I want somebody who literally, because 4 or 5 coaches are going to get whacked, so there'll be a coaching pool out there to pluck from. I want somebody to assemble a staff that on game day we have an advantage, and we haven't had that in forever.
Hogs, good morning.
Yeah.
Hogs.
Morning, Petey.
What's up?
I got to listen to those Douglas comments yesterday. It sounds like a dead man walking. Who knows that? Yes, his contract is up at the end of the year, but yes, I don't even think it's just making the playoffs. I think they need to go on a little bit of a run in order for Douglas to come back. In my opinion, I truly feel that way. But also, too, guys, before we even speak about any potential playoffs or anything like that, we have to win these next 2 games consecutively. I gotta tell you, this Arizona team, they're playing great ball these last few weeks. That is not going to be an easy game out there. A lot of concerns about how they're going to try to keep Murray and handling Murray in the pocket. They're going to have to play very, very balanced in terms of their run schemes and also stay in their running lanes as well. Otherwise, that Cardinals offense will run them all day long. Of course, I want them to win, but in order for them to have any shot here, these next 2 games are must wins before the bye. It must wins, no question about that.
Hogs, I agree. Hogs, listen, I will get you. Bring me the Jets 5 and 6 against Seattle, 1 o'clock. Hopefully they don't flex that game to 4 o'clock or whatever. Get me to that, and then I think there's a season.
I have something for Hargs. Can I say something, Hargs,
Yeah.
real quick? And good morning. So we're recorded. If folks want to come up and say, because here's what we're going to hear, right? Let's say the Jets beat Arizona, and it's an away game, and I agree with everything you said, Kyler Murray. They're running the football at a beastly clip, and that's a problem for the Jet. I just don't want to hear after they beat Arizona. If they do, oh well, it was Arizona. I don't want to hear that at all. And I know there are fans that are going to do that, and I don't want to hear it. Okay?
No. Listen, I absolutely agree. Listen, a win is a win. There's no question about that. What I will say though is that yes, they had a great second half against Houston, right? And I'm not putting any doubt on any problems on that or trying to overcast that. What I'm saying though is so far, and even in the Ulbrich couple of games here as well, I have to see more from this team for me to believe in them. I have to see more. This is like a mini bye they've had now in between the Texans and the Cardinals. If you're a serious team wanting to really truly compete for a playoff spot, you should be able to go into Arizona and be able to dominate this game. You really should.
I agree, Hogs. And Hogs, if they do beat them, and June, go ahead right after, I'll be quick. If they do beat them, the Jets, the analysts are going to say the Jets are going to everybody's going to be back on board with the Jets. And I still think they're going to jet, in my opinion. But go ahead.
No. What I was gonna say is simple. Like this next game, we got so much going against us. We got the extra amount of days off, which we don't do well with that. We're going to the West Coast. We don't do well with that. We're playing one of the best scrambling quarterbacks. We don't do well with that. They got a very good top 10 tight end. We don't do well with that. It's. I mean, I would be surprised. Look, it's my team. I'm a root for 'em, but I would be very, very, very surprised if the Jets don't go into Arizona and get a win.
That's a great breakdown, Jim. You're totally right. I agree with everything you
I
said.
forgot about their tight end.
Yes,
Did you
McBride.
say June or Joe? I'm getting confused who's talking right now.
It's June.
No, that was June, and I'm agreeing with
That's a
what he
joke.
said. He's totally right.
That's a joke, June, because you were being so negative.
No. I mean,
All right.
but what I'm saying
Hector,
is,
do
it's
me a
all
favor.
real,
Please
man.
don't
I know,
bring up
I know,
Joe's name
I
in
know,
here.
I know. I
Thank
didn't
you.
say no last name. P, it could be anybody.
Definitely, I would be surprised, man.
You're right, Jude. It's a big problem. This team is a problem for them, but I know there are fans after they, whatever happens, if they win, if they suddenly get lightning in a bottle, I don't know if Maddie already left, but he asked earlier, does anyone think there's a chance that the Jets could make a run? There 100% is a chance that they could do it. Is it probable? That's where I'm very doubtful.
Yeah, me too.
But if you have, listen, man, I said it at the beginning, when you have Rodgers and Davante Adams and Garrett Wilson, how many teams have a cornerback room that can handle that?
You're right.
Mark, can I bring up a point to that
He's
real quick?
100% right, Pete. But to my earlier point, all that goes out the window if they lose Sunday.
Well, right, Charles, you're right. I mean, here's my thing too. Is Garrett Wilson, besides his little couple of muffs, Garrett Wilson is everything that Jeff fans thought he would be with Rodgers now. He's made the turn. He has. Garrett Wilson is still ascending. And June, this is not towards you. Okay? Everybody thought that Garrett he's on pace for 1,300 and something yards. He's already got 5 touchdowns? Correct?
Here, Pete, let me give June some cover on this. So now I think what June needs to see is consistency. Can he do it week in, week out, day in, day out, be that guy? I'm not saying he needs to be offensive player of the week every week or do another like NFL historic highlight play every game. But can he be that guy? Does he have another, 100-yard, 2-touchdown style performance? Or at least be like a major contributor in the game where teams are like, man, I can't believe we single covered Garrett because we were so worried about DA and Rodgers and their chemistry. Because this is what's happening now on the outside. If you look at the film in that second half against the Texans, man, you got safeties are trying to make decisions about what in the world to do. With these two guys on the outside, it's a real problem.
And Mark, to your point, is it that, or is it the fact that now that Davante Adams is on the team, he's getting covered by the number one cornerback? So now,
Bingo.
All right, okay, but wait,
True.
But wait, hold on here, June. To be fair though, why does that get criticized though? Oh, because Garrett Wilson. And I'm not saying you. But
it's not criticized. It's not criticized.
Okay, go ahead.
It's not criticism. What I'm saying is, all right, Garrett's our guy that we're gonna back. Now, what's gonna happen when Davante Adams leave and now he got to go against the number one corners night in, night out?
I'm not worried about that till 2026. When the Jets pay Garrett Wilson north of $30 million, June, I am not worried about that, to be honest. But they have to. They have to bring a guy back like this.
Absolutely.
They have to, June.
No.
You could
I didn't
say
I didn't say not bring him back, but what I'm saying is can you expect the same production when he's going against a team's best corner?
Yes, because you know what? He's going to be older. He's going to mature more. He's going to get better. He's getting better now. He's more comfortable with Rodgers.
We're assuming this.
June. He's got mentorship with Davante Adams. I remember before they got him, I was like, man, this is not a victory lap. I'm just trying to add context. I was like, man, if you get Devontae Adams in here, who already has established chemistry and can tell you, look, man, look at Mike Williams' press conference, by the way, for Pittsburgh. You know what he said?
What he
Not,
said?
Rodgers is washed. He didn't say, that they stink. The Jets are. He said, you know what? I missed a lot of time, and it takes time to get on the same page with Rodgers because he needs it just so. Like he's got a specific way he wants to play the game. Listen to Devontae Adams' comments where he said, you know what? It took me 3 years as a receiver to get on the same page with him, and that's when I unlocked my true potential. Like Garrett Wilson, it's taken him some time to get on the same page, but I wouldn't be shocked if against Arizona, he looks more like that receiver in that second half against the Texans as opposed to what we saw through the first, third of the season.
Yeah. I want to comment, but go ahead, June, because I've held back with this Garrett Wilson with you, by the way.
Look, no, my thing is, all right, maybe it's just me, but because I watch football for so long, I just look at body language. And to me, the body language is not where I want it to be with Garrett Wilson on that sideline, on that team, in the locker room, interviews and whatnot. That's all.
But winning
Okay.
changes everything.
Yeah,
you're right.
We have a question for the listener section who can't come up. It's CB the Jet asking a question of June specifically. CB's asking June, did you watch Garrett Wilson versus Christian Gonzalez and what your thoughts are on that performance? Thank you.
Can you send him a message back to the? I can't do it with this guy. I can't.
Yo, June, there's also something that came up invisibly and said, is Christian Gonzalez a top 5 wide receiver?
No.
I mean, cornerback.
Christian Gonzalez is a top 5 to 10 cornerback. He is.
But hear me out here. Listen, Garrett Wilson, to me, now that Devontae's here, it's going to open up so much stuff for even Devontae. Look at what Devontae did. Rodgers found mismatches all in the second half. He did.
Yeah,
Aaron Rodgers looked like vintage Aaron Rodgers in the second half. Now, can Rodgers hold up for another 9 games or 8 games? I don't know.
Can the line hold up for 8-9 games? That's what scares me now.
That's a great question. But Petey, I'll say this and I'll leave it alone. Garrett Wilson going forward will only be as good as the wide receiver that's next to him. That's all I'm saying.
No.
Okay. So no. Well, Devontae Adams, they went yard for yardage, 9 and 90.
Like I said,
Devontae have
he will only be as good as the wide receiver that's next to him.
But I still think there's going to be a receiver. Maybe one day Garrett has a big game and Devontae doesn't, and so on and so on. Look, Tyler Conklin had a big game against the Patriots. Where's he been?
No, you're not getting what I'm saying.
No, I know what you're saying, June, but who cares at this point?
All the top
Garrett Wilson is a number 1 receiver.
Most of the top receivers have a great second receiver.
Right.
And so Garrett needed that. Now he has it.
Who's Justin Jefferson's great wide receiver?
Addison.
He's the best in the league.
He's great?
He's the best in the league, though. He's an exception.
Wait.
Look at
Okay, I'm just asking. Go ahead. Who's next? Tyreek Hill. Is
Waddle. Why you got Waddle? Like, listen to what we're saying here. You got Waddle.
All right, hold on. Okay. Next, Jamar Chase, T. Higgins.
Okay. Yes.
Okay, so how come nobody says anything about them? Oh, if they didn't have this. Oh, if they don't have that. Well, Jalen Waddle didn't have Tyreek Hill the first year, right?
No, yes, he did.
Should we do this with Diggs and Gabe Davis? Should we do that?
Oh no! You meant Jalen Waddle. No, Jalen Waddle didn't have him.
Jalen Waddle
did not have him first year. No.
Right.
Yes.
All right. So who else is a great wide receiver? Debo and Brandon Ayuk.
Yes.
Are they great?
There you go.
Yeah. Okay.
They're very good.
All right, so who's next? I'm just saying, like, why is there? There's also people like Malik Neighbors is great, but he has no other wide receiver.
And that's why he's not. That's why he's not as consistent.
I think it's not only that. It's not only that. It's that the Jets, their offensive line,
We pay so much money for this offensive line, and people every single year, we still have injury-prone linemen, so it doesn't make Rodgers look good and doesn't make our receivers look good. Think about it. AVT, he's been injured almost every single game. Even last year, he had the season-ending injury. Morgan, I don't know if it's Morgan Moses, but one of them said they had to play through an ACL tear, meniscus tear. It's like our injury. Imagine if we didn't even draft Fashanu, we would have been more vacant in that offensive line. So I feel like the Jets every single year, this year they actually focus on drafting on the offensive line. But I feel even next year, regardless of whether they do good and bad, we have to draft another offensive line in the first round. We got to stop looking
I
for the shiny
agree.
toy.
It's
Stop
got to
looking for
be
the
an
shiny
early pick.
toy.
Yep.
Build and get young offensive linemen. Stop getting 36, 38-year-old offensive linemen and expect them to play like these 25-year-olds. All these wide receivers you're mentioning, they have good offensive lines on their team, whether it's Minnesota Vikings, Detroit Lions,
How about getting some
even
linemen in the
Dolphins.
third,
No offense,
fourth, and
the
fifth
Dolphins have a
round?
better offensive line.
I don't think he can hear us.
You're not going to get a good offensive lineman in the third or fourth round. You got to get them in the first.
That's not true. No. So you're just
You
saying
got
that
to get them
every team in this league builds with first round linemen and nothing else?
Even look at the Steelers. The Steelers with Broderick Jones. You can't tell me Broderick Jones with the Steelers. Look at the Steelers offensive line.
Wait. Is Broderick Jones a good pick right now?
I think he is. The Steelers are doing
Did
good.
somebody ask
No.
him?
He was going to be picked somewhere, though.
Broderick Jones is not playing
No, he's
well.
not
No,
But he
playing
was
well.
still going to
there
get
is
picked
no
by
team.
somebody.
There are no teams in the league that their entire offensive linemen are first round picks. Look around this league. If you don't hit in the third, fourth round every couple of years with a lineman that'll stick, you don't have an offensive line.
Right.
Fellas, look at my Ravens, man. Look at our offensive line. It's similar, like you're talking about. Like, look at Morgan Moses, right? Like, it's similar to what
Morgan
the
Moses was in
concept
this
y'all are.
building 3 years ago,
Okay.
and you let him walk out.
Yeah, it's tricky, but the right picks get you the right guys. There's no doubt about that.
Well, it
Yeah.
comes to coaching too. There's a reason why. Whatever. This is a roster construction conversation, which is
Beach
fine.
Carter
It's
time,
good.
Mark.
Well, yeah,
No, but
because
Mark's
look,
right. I know where Mark's going to go, and he's right.
yeah, of course you want okay, when you've got defensive minded head coach and defensive minded coaching, and you're able to elevate folks, like look at what's happening with Bryce Huff, and then you're bringing along other guys, and like what happens is that you're able to build. They understand that side of the ball, so the scouting, they get the right guys in, and then they can develop the talent. When you don't have offensive acumen on the coaching staff, and then the scouts and they're pulling their minds together to figure out who to pick, like you have to. What happens is teams get forced. The Jets are forced into spending high draft capital on offensive players because I don't trust their ability to coach them up from the inside. They in a way they had to get Fashanu because they had to get a blue chip. Because do you really trust Keith Carter to develop a developmental lineman? I don't.
No.
To that point, you look at the teams Callahan has been the offensive line coach for, and Dante Scarnecchia with New England forever. New England, they those weren't first round linemen that were protecting Brady. Maybe a handful were, but they just bring them in and they coach them up.
Charles, look at freaking Nate Solder, whatever his name is. He went to the Giants.
And
He was
what happened?
dreadful.
Exactly.
He was great with he was the top guy on the market, and he was dreadful.
Would you guys agree? New England was the best diamond in the rough team when it came to all that stuff. Would you agree, Charles? Like they just found diamonds in the rough all the time.
Because that's from a personnel standpoint and from a staff standpoint, New England was a machine at developing players.
Yeah, they were. They were churning and burning those guys. They were absolutely legit during their run.
Yep. Office, real quick. Hold on, guys.
Sorry,
guys. It's all right. Guys, Jets Commute's been coming out with some shorts.
Invoice is 694.
Can you hear me, Steven?
953 9000.
6949. Don't repeat that. That was not me that muted neither. Steven was doing a
That was a
cold
courtesy
call.
mute for Steven. Yeah, go ahead.
Cold call, Steven. Good job, man. We're on YouTube Live as we speak. Been coming up with some shorts. If you guys can subscribe and like, the the Jets Commute page, on YouTube. We're building this, and it's just started, so it's going pretty well. So we'd appreciate if you could help. Again, that's at Jets Commute on YouTube, and we're live on there now. So if you got anything, people listening on YouTube, appreciate you checking out the shorts and everything. Thank you. And if you guys could check out the short and the Jumbotron, we'd appreciate it. The question is, should the Jets run it back with Rodgers in 2025? My answer is yes.
They have to.
Correct.
The Devontae Adams deal, Pete, I think telegraphed that Rodgers returns. Now, but folks also want to cut bait with staff, and this is where I get a little bit of whiplash, because it's like, okay, well, we asked fans, okay, well, I remember asking fans, did Joe Douglas do enough to differentiate himself with Saleh where they could fire Saleh and retain Douglas? And the answer was, well, yeah, the roster's fine. Now it's, okay, well, some folks are convinced that Douglas is getting his walking papers. So I guess what's changed? I don't know. And I'm not saying it's a smart move to keep him or to fire him. I'm trying to understand fan sentiment around what they think we should do.
I'll give you my answer on that, Mark. And I've said this before. We get too hung up on GM and roster as if that's their only duty, right? I think the roster, he's made some good picks. He's made some really bad picks. But from a management standpoint of the roster as a whole, forget about the roster that surfaced this year by plugging in a bunch of, guys that historically have been great who are older, and the Aaron Rodgers trade, which was predicated on the fact that you whiffed on Zach Wilson. His roster overall for the whole 6 years has been good, not great. And the other aspects of the management of the team, coach selection, et cetera, and so forth, are inept. And his cap management, gets a C at best. So that's how I evaluate Joe Douglas, not on just the roster you see in year 6.
How was the cap when he took it over, Charles? Were they in good shape,
I think it
decent
was.
shape,
I
or
think it
bad
was.
shape?
I think
It was
good.
brutal.
It wasn't good.
No, McCagnon effed everything up.
Then McCagnon was left a good cap. Somebody was left a good cap when they started 6 years ago. I don't remember.
Well, McCagnon signed Mosley and Wilkerson. He extend Wilkerson?
Le'Veon.
Or was that Idzik? Right, Le'Veon. Oh gosh.
Office was also a bottom of the barrel roster when he took the reins, and folks will say, "Oh well, who cares?" I care. Like, this is a much better talent. It's a much better team. I mean, it's like making sausage. It's ugly, but it's a better team.
It's a better team after 6 years, and most of the talent, not most, but a good portion of it is not sustainable past a year from now.
Well, they have some. I mean, and I understand the timing of all that, but I mean, and listen, I understand that folks are. I can't believe I'm saying this, that folks are out on Garrett Wilson. Like, I get it. But, I mean, I heard that last year when folks were out on Breece Hall, and I was like, wait, what? Like, young talent gets better, like, over time. Like, sometimes folks will, flub or they'll get hurt. But, like, I like what I see out of some of these young pieces.
Yeah, but
this idea that they're just going to cut everybody.
No, they're not going to cut everybody. That's why you have to build it right, though. Because if all the young talent, and I'm glad it all came in 1 year, you can't keep it all. The idea is to sprinkle the young talent over a prolonged period of time so guys are still under control and cheap while you have to pay other guys. You're in a position
they had no choice. Think about it. They got all this draft capital, right? Think about it. They had what? 3 first, like, they didn't have a choice. I mean, I guess they could have said, you know what? We have all these holes on the roster, but what we're going to do, even though we have all these ones, is we're going to trade those picks?
No. My point is that just look at the way the team was built. That year was an absolute hit, right? But if he's had 5 drafts, he should have had guys along the way that were all keepers over a prolonged period of time. Then you're not faced with having to sign 3 guys in 1 year. My point was that 1 year, take away that 1 year, and he's a shit GM, period. Okay? That 1 year is what he's made his career on, and kudos. It was a great draft for him. But when you, on the 4 other drafts, when you really weren't very good, you can't keep these guys because they all came the same year. That's what I'm saying, Mark. If he had hit on a couple along the way, you're not in this position of having 3 to 4 guys in one draft class that you need to sign. That should have been distributed over 3 years, 4 years of good drafting. So if 1 or 2 of those guys go, there are other guys that you're bringing in that are cheap to sustain this all. I'm just saying the
Right.
way it's built is
Yeah.
cockeyed.
I want to jump
Right. I'm
in
not.
on this. Go ahead,
Yeah. Good.
Mark. Well, real quick, and then Kenny, good morning. Charles, but to be fair, you're right about, all this, happening in that year. But he did make the trade for Jamal Adams. We lucked out that Seattle was bad, and he hit on both of the picks, and then he traded into the first round and got Jermaine Johnson, which was a good move at the time. And then he hit another, I'm not going to say home run, but what's Brees, a B? B plus?
It's a historic draft, and even the
Right.
things you're bringing in with the trade, absolutely tip your cap. My point is, when it's done that way with the other years being almost a zero, okay, there comes a point in time, and it's coming soon, that
Mhm.
because it's all lopsided in basically a calendar year, there's no sustainability because you can't sign all 4, okay,
Yep.
and there aren't other guys who are young and cheap on the roster to take the place of some of these guys that you can't sign. It needs to happen every year. You need to add talent, and he hasn't done that
And
every
that's
year through the
right. And
draft.
Charles, that's where you add talent in the third, fourth, and fifth rounds when you
And
don't
that's
have
I
to
keep
pay
going back to
the
that
mammoth contracts,
because
because
and we never look at him historically after the second round, and even that's suspect. But at least there's some keepers. Tipman's one of them.
and
Those
so
later
is
rounds, other
McDonald.
than Michael Carter and Eccles, nobody jumps out on me.
Correct. Correct. Kenny, you came up.
Good morning,
What's up,
guys.
Kenny?
What's going on?
What's up?
Listen,
How are you?
all right, hanging in there. Listen, I agree with Charles. Douglas, he hit on that his only draft basically that he hit on. But when you whiff on a number 1 pick in Zach Wilson, you set the franchise back years, and that's what happened. Whenever you miss on a quarterback, you get fucked in the long run. So they missed on Zach Wilson, and that set them back. I think as Jet fans, some Jet fans, we overrate some of these draft picks. Look at all the misses. Jeremy Ruckett sucks. That's a miss. Uh, did Douglas take Hackenberg? I'm just trying to. No. Who did he take? Who's the
No,
put?
that was
No,
Morgan?
Kusmani.
no,
Was it?
no.
Who took James Morgan?
Yeah, that was
Douglas.
That,
Yeah,
Douglas.
that was
yeah,
Douglas's
that,
first
that that
draft.
that's a miss. There's a lot of late round picks that are misses. And yeah, he hit on that in that first draft, but I think Brees Hall is regressed. I think Brees Hall. If this guy's going to be your feature back, you got to go for a buck 20, buck 30. In the NFL. Right now he's being outplayed right now by Derrick Henry, who was kicked to the curb by the Titans. So,
But Derrick Henry, Kenny, to be fair, is in a great coaching system.
but
That's where
and listen, I'm going to give it.
Well, he got Lamar
Well,
too. He's got
and,
Lamar
yeah,
and
too.
but
Derrick
also
Henry's still great.
But remember this: Derrick Henry is running behind an offensive line that Baltimore said we don't need 2 guys, and those 2 guys went to the Jets. So Simpson and Moses. So it's just, Joe Douglas doesn't have a contract after this year. I don't think so.
I
Um,
don't think I
yeah.
strongly
Listen, you
think
make
he's not
if
coming
the
back.
if the Jets don't make the playoffs, I want Douglas out of here. Plain and simple. All right, enough already. All right, you big deal. You threw shit at the wall 5 times and you hit once. So I want him out of here if they don't make the playoffs. Plain and simple. You don't deserve to be back. Never had a winning record. 5 years of this bullshit. So listen, they wanna keep Rodgers around, but they don't have no choice but to bring in a new GM and put Ulbrich back as defensive coordinator, and whatever coach they decide to go with, which I have no clue. So we'll go from there.
Yeah,
Basically,
but hear me out here
yeah.
on this. If they bring in a new staff, you could still keep some of these holdovers. Look, they kept Brant Boyer for
Yeah,
how
Yeah,
you
I
many
know
know.
what, Pete?
regimes
Yeah,
Though
now?
I'm
yeah.
not
Well,
a
that's
fan
why.
of it.
Yeah, that's
I'm
why
No,
I
neither
said.
am I, Charles.
That's why I
But
said
I
to bring
like Tony
Ulbrich back.
Oden. Yeah, I don't know though if Ulbricht's going to go back to defensive coordinator
Well, he ain't
after
gonna get
being
it.
an
Historically,
interim head.
He ain't gonna get a
interims
head
are
Right.
coaching job if they don't make the playoffs. He ain't getting a head coaching job or retained. as a head coach for the Jets.
Now, he'll be a DC somewhere else because
Yeah.
historically, when you give the guy the interim title and he doesn't get the head coaching job, he's not part of the new administration. Because think about it, you're a new coach coming in, and you're dealing. You have a guy in your staff that was the head coach last year for a period of time, and some guys are gonna listen to him more than you. That's why they don't usually keep them over.
And the other thing is, um, you keep hearing about these coordinators, Ben Johnson, even Aaron Glenn, on the Detroit staff. I'm sick of these coordinators never really amount to nothing. Look at who was the guy that was calling the plays for the Chiefs for years, and he went somewhere else
Matt
and
Nagy,
no,
Bellamy,
the enemy.
the
the enemy.
enemy,
Yeah,
the enemy.
but so he really never even. I don't even. He's never even offered a head coaching job. So
No,
and everyone and here's something I'll throw out there. If the Jets do go and hire Aaron Glenn as their next coach, I could see Salah going to Detroit and being taking his spot as the defensive coordinator because Salah's from Michigan.
mm,
So I could see
wow,
that.
that's a good
Yeah,
call. That's a good
I could
call.
see that too.
Yep. But that's about it, guys. I got to jump. I just wanted to come in quick. I know last night the lounge got canceled. I wasn't around last night. And I know, but Eddie couldn't make it. But I think tonight Eddie could make it. But listen, the season's still alive. If they lose, obviously, if they lose Sunday, it's over. You gotta come home and be 4-6 and go beat up on that Colt team and then take the week off and go from there, regroup. But we know the Jets coming out of a long layoff, 10 days off, they never play well off of bye weeks or layoffs. Thursday night going into the following Sunday, they never play well with a 10-day layoff.
Yeah, the Denver game, they didn't play well. I mean, the
Yeah.
weather sucked, but
Yeah, but still, it's football. These guys have been playing in the rain for years. So that's I don't like weather as an excuse because I just remember the Patriots used to put up 40 points in 3 feet of snow. So
Yes,
yeah,
you're right.
so,
right,
and I
right.
remember years back when Brady was playing. Oh, it's gonna be snowing all game up in New England, and the total would go from 44 to 35, and I'd bang the over, and they'd have 35 points at halftime. So,
Yeah,
so
I remember that game
I
too.
don't blame the weather, but hope everybody's doing well.
Yes, sir.
Enjoying New Jersey has turned into Florida with the
Yeah, it's
weather.
73 right
Crazy.
now, Kenny.
Yeah, I know.
We
Crazy.
need rain, Kenny. We need friggin' rain.
It's well, I've
Hey,
been watering the grass.
hey, Charles and Kenny, I'll throw you a tidbit here. Just think, I'm on right now, 91. Charles,
90.
yeah, you can put 2 and 2 together.
You're on
91.
90
Yeah, heading south.
Route 9?
No,
91. South.
91. Exit
What are you headed
91.
north?
No,
Oh,
exit
you're down. Oh, all
91.
right. You're down. You just passed Asbury Park. Where you going down to Belmar, LBI, Atlantic City?
Now, he's around Brickett. 91's
Yeah.
about Brick Tom's River, isn't it?
Yeah.
Hey, yeah,
Yeah.
I gotta talk to the waiter that Paulie and Chris talked to after
You
they
going down
ate.
to you going
Going to the
down to the
Pinelands to dump a body.
you going to
Pete.
Pine
Nah,
Barrens?
nah, not
The
the
Pine
Pine
Barrens?
Barrens.
Yeah. He's an interior decorator. Listen, guys, I got to jump. Always a pleasure. Good hearing your
I got
voices.
one question.
Yeah,
How the
Kenny.
fuck did that guy get out of the trunk?
Give me that fucking ketchup.
Charles, answer that.
Valeria is still Roman. Valeria is still Roman.
Guys, if you want Kenny, see you later, man.
You got it, guys. Take care.
Guys, if you want to come up and talk, please. It's been a good combo. I think at least. What do I know, though? Jet fans, whoever.
Matter of
Jarek, I
fact,
see you here. Come up, Jarek.
real quick. Hey, Mark, I got a question. I've been thinking about this all night. Mark, you there?
Yeah.
Yeah. No.
Yes.
Look, this ain't no. This ain't no crazy question. It's a real question. Now,
Yeah.
I think me and you can agree that the defense has taken a step back since Salah got fired, right?
Yeah. Can I do an extended in this one? Just in the middle of your question. I'm sorry because I'm seeing folks post
Extended. That was
that the Jet
funny.
defense.
Oh, shit, Mark.
Well, because people are still posting that the Jet defense is ranked 4th overall, and it's like, oh
Is
yeah,
it
well, what about the
really?
splits?
But here's Pete. Don't get
Go
fooled.
ahead.
What about the splits of pre and post Salah, and are they right? Like, is that ranking riding the coattails of the previous performance when they had Salah versus what they have now? And I understand they had a solid game against Houston, but when I ran the numbers before the Houston game, the defense was significantly worse. So,
Right.
but go ahead.
Now, I mean, and now to that point, because the defense had fell off. If you take away the Houston game, is that because now Olbrick is the head coach and he can't, or is it because actually Salah was the one calling the defense and he was just trying to give credit to his friend? You get what I'm
And
saying?
yeah,
Like yeah,
Gina,
that's the
look,
question.
man. Look. All I know is that when they fired him, I had a suspicion that the team was going to lose a bunch of games, and part of it was going to be not just because of Ulbrich, like Salah, the mind, the game planning, like his understanding of things, but also when you have an interim head coach and now they've got a lot of responsibility. They're the head coach and a DC at the same time because Ulbrich kept the call sheet. I think he still has the call sheet. It's just a lot. It's a lot to manage. Like, I didn't see the defense being the problem. I mean, they had their bumps and bruises in the run, and we know all that already. But where the bumps and bruises really were, what was losing the Jets games was the offense. All right, they lost 3 games by 10 points. 10! 3 games. And it's we know that the offense was malfunctioning, and we knew that Hackett was the problem. Like, it doesn't take, we're not paid to do this we knew that was the problem. But yet the owner said, you know what? It's time for a change. We need to shuffle, let's change the shit around. And then they lost a bunch of games to the point now, by the way, where now if the Jets are going to actually have a shot this year, they have to win out. Like, you have eliminated your margin for error because you dropped, 3 of the last 4. So, and I know folks are saying, oh, well, this team wasn't going anywhere with Salah. I understand that's an opinion, but honestly, we don't know that. Like, what would have happened if we're playing the hypothetical game? What would have happened if the Jets would have kept Salah and gave down in the play call? Would the Jets have gone 2-2 over that stretch? 3-1? I don't know. I don't have the answer to that. The offense was the problem. And by the way, and got back and got the talent and got Devontae Adams and got Reddick. And Salah was still there and Downing at the play call. What would the record be?
Okay, so you know what? So now I got a question for you. If the Jets would have kept Salah, would they have gotten Hassan Reddick and Devontae Adams?
I don't think that Salah was the holdup for getting either of those players. I don't think either of those players was like, well, Salah's the head coach, so I'm not coming there. But to kind of counter my own argument there, June, like with the Salah firing, did that create new urgency where they're like, well, wait a second.
Right.
They really do need this talent if they're going to win? I don't have the answer to that. But look, man, Rodgers like Salah, and if you listen to Joe Douglas got overrode in the decision to fire Salah. It wasn't his call. So, and the players like Salah. I know that the fans don't. I know that Woody doesn't, but the players did. I think when they were talking about accountability, they weren't talking about Salah. They were talking about Hackett. So, look, man, I don't know. I think that they lost a couple games that they should have won in that stretch if they kept Salah and give down in the play call. And maybe they should have done it at the start of the year. But again, and look, man, I understand what I'm saying. Hindsight's 2020. I get it. I'm just trying to see it regardless of the jersey color. But I just think they really, right now, there's a strong chance they won't make the playoffs or really do much. Because look, there's a strong shot they go 500 or worse over this next stretch if the errors continue. You know what I mean? And firing the head coach did not fix those problems because we just saw it against Houston and we saw it the week prior. Colossal errors. The Jets are what? The third most penalized team in the league? Firing the head coach did not fix that problem. or at least it hasn't yet. And listen, I'm giving Ulbrich some leash. I'm not 100% out on Ulbrich like a lot of folks are. I want to give the guy a shot. I think he should be auditioning for his job. If folks say, oh, well, Mark, it's solid staff, so, he's playing with one hand tied behind his back. All right. Like, how you say that and then say, you know what, I'm also immediately out on Ulbrich. Like, I just don't understand some of this. So, whatever. It's a one-game season. I can't see past Sunday. They need to, it wouldn't shock me if they beat Arizona, and it wouldn't shock me if they lose to Arizona. I just don't know which version of the team you're going to get. All I can tell you is that it's the Jets. I'm not shitting on Arizona, but it's the Jets. If they lose that game, I guarantee it's going to be, man, they jetted that game. They came out flat after the mini bye, like Pete's saying, or more boneheaded penalties by players just not doing the right thing. Jet-like errors. Like, if that shit happens, they're going to lose. It's an away game. And Arizona's playing complete football. Like, they will lose that game if they make jet-like mistakes like that. So that's sorry, it was a long speech. Go ahead.
Because they were Thursday night football, right? Last week,
it feels
the
like
Jets?
that's why, it feels like,
Oh, yeah.
people have just been checked out, for a couple of days. It's been a long stretch. And what's concerning, Mark and guys, I don't think Tyron Smith played practice yesterday. I'm not positive, but when, Ulbrich said, oh, he's got a chance to play, why are you even saying that? Like, a chance to play?
Pete, this health along the line is, and look, the line, I understand last week it was the center and 4 tackles, but Rodgers has been getting the ball out in 2.5 seconds. I think he's second I think Cousins is the only guy, that's where he's functioning in terms of time to release. And the Jets also have one of the best, they've been protecting the quarterback, almost better than, especially in passing, almost better than any other team in the league right now, which is surprising to say. But the ball's getting out. He's not getting pressured as much. So these injuries along the line are concerning, and they may be one player away from it turning into a house of cards, one more injury away. I hate saying that and putting that out in the world. But, who's going to, I don't know who the starting 5 are. Do you?
See, that's
You
where
know what's funny?
Ulbrich's role has changed significantly. You know what I mean? His day is totally different than it was before Salah got fired. Totally 180, right?
Yep.
You know what's funny? I didn't even know that he had said that in the interview. And I've said for the past 2 weeks, maybe he's playing hurt because he gets paid upon how many games he. So, yeah.
Is it me or is it June?
Nah, June's in the blender. June, you're in the blender. Hello?
Mark, can you hear me?
Yeah, I hear you.
Yeah. June, we can't hear
What's
you.
going to happen, Pete? Are they losing on Sunday?
I'm on the fence, man. I'm just not confident,
Hello?
to be honest. I'm not confident.
Yes, Steven, we hear you.
No, I think they're going to lose. If you're asking me what I think is going to happen, I think they're going to lose. But I'm not putting it out there that they can win. I think it can go either way. But I'm just not getting caught up in the thing of the second half of the Thursday game was until they prove it to me. If they do, then all for it. But I'm not going to start proclaiming things. I mean, it's a 3-6 team now, so. There's definitely a pathway. What scares me is the running game. These teams, the teams that stay running against us seem to have the most success. I mean, for whatever reason, Houston came out, what was it, 7 straight or whatever straight passes? I mean, we couldn't stop Mixon.
Yeah,
when
Bobby
they did
Slow
run.
it, Dom. That was
I
real
don't
stupid.
think, Steven, can you hear me now?
Yeah.
All right, yeah, I had the force closed. I don't think Slowick did a good job, man, because Mixon was dancing. He was dancing all over us. He should.
Yeah.
he should have stuck to the run.
No, yeah,
That's
he overthought himself, I think.
there was one play I rewatched the game. I should have like clipped it, but after a play was called, he said the F bomb, like he didn't make the right call. Like I don't know if it was because of that, but he was just like upset with something. You could just tell. So
To
yes,
take the jerseys off for a second, and this is for both you and for Steven, take the jerseys off for a minute. If you're a team, all right, and you're missing 2 of your top targets for your quarterback, okay, and you're playing a team who has not been great against the run and frankly is struggling to be relevant this year, like their confidence is teetering and they're weak against the run, how do you not run them into the ground?
right. I mean, that's what
strategy.
New England
Like
did.
this isn't rocket science, in my opinion. Go ahead, Pete.
No, well, New England did that the second game, Mark. We couldn't stop them. You know?
Yeah, and Buffalo also did it as well.
Yeah. And I know Buffalo fans are going to say the Jets could have won that game, and I believe they should have won that game. They should have won that game. I'm sorry. Like, both teams were neck and neck in that game. I know Tyler Bass missed the field goal. We missed 2 and an extra point. The Jets should have won that game. It sucks.
Well,
they didn't get the breaks.
They were playing like a team, Pete, that should have lost. That's the problem. Like when you're playing like a losing team, you're going to lose games. And there's all this talent, but you have to capitalize on opportunities, and the Jets weren't doing that. And it certainly wasn't a blowout. Like if you compare, okay, take that game, Bills, Jets, in Florham Park, and then take the first Miami game, Miami and Buffalo. Did those games look similar to you? Because they didn't look similar to me. Miami looked outclassed in that first. Like it was embarrassing. All right, the Jets didn't embarrass them. The Jets' level of embarrassment was because they shot themselves in the foot, not because.
Well, Mark, but everybody's going to say, "Oh, the Hail Mary," that'll be thrown in.
That's
if
true.
it wasn't for the Hail Mary, like the Jets were, but they did tie. Didn't they tie the game? The Jets, yes.
Yeah. I mean, that's true. That's a very good point. They were on life support in that game.
And what did Buffalo score? 3? And Mark, what did Buffalo score? 3 points in the second half? So did we, right?
Well, yeah, that's the Jets brand.
Yeah.
Is that in the second half they tighten up and start,
Well, yeah, Mark, I don't know if you know because you haven't been on in a few days, but the Jets before this game scored 25 points in 5 second halves the last 5 games. They scored 21 against Houston. They literally matched it in 1 game. You can't win scoring 5 points a half.
No, you can't. You can't. They lost games by 7
Let's
and then
get
3.
in here.
Yeah, go ahead. Buckeye, good morning.
I don't know if you can talk, Buckeye, but
sorry, guys. Good morning. Good morning.
Oh, there. Good morning. It's pandemonium in Knicks land too, Buckeye.
Yeah, I'm not nervous.
Yeah.
Yeah, I waited for the thumbs down. There it is.
Yeah.
The almost I'll call it bi-daily now, Mark, since you're not in every day. Bi-daily. Not the daily thumbs down, the bi-daily.
It's your room, Pete. You want to talk about cricket and darts? World Championship of Darts. Go ahead. It's fine.
It can't be Petey's room if his 2 co-hosts are in the room.
How about bowling, Mark?
Sure, let's talk about yeah, dude. What's that? Well, yeah, dude, whatever. Ping pong. Let's do that. How the ping pong world championships turning out. It's incredible.
Now let's talk about that smack championship when you smack them beside the face.
I know. That's all right, I'm going on mute.
All right, well, see what I did here? Man, I mentioned the Knicks and Mark, how are the Nuggets doing out there, Mark? Do you know?
No, man. Listen, you guys are having 70s. I'm looking at snow. We got 10 inches, 5 to 10 inches yesterday. We might get another 5 to 10 today. It's blizzard territory over here.
And then what? It'll be 70 degrees by Saturday, right?
Yeah, exactly. In a couple days, it'll be 60s and 70s. So that's just how our weather is this time of year.
What was that, June?
No, I didn't say nothing.
Oh, somebody's mic came in hot.
Yeah.
I was just thinking that I'm
All right.
happy I ain't got to go through that shit no more.
Yeah. So, yeah, that's right. So Steven believes the Jets are not going to win. Mark, do you think they're going to win this weekend?
Pete, I don't want to. I gave a prediction after they fired Saleh. I just can't this week because I don't know what. Is it the team from the first half of the Texans game or is it the team from the second half? I don't know which team it is. So it could go either way. The Jets could blow out the Cardinals. They could actually have a really great game against the Cardinals because they're like, you know what? This is who the hell we've really been. This is who the hell we really are. And now we actually have the horses because we got Devontae Adams and we have Reddick. So can we start playing like our real team, who we really are? They could do that against Arizona. It could happen.
So Mark, if you got to pick one, which one will it be? They're gonna win or they're gonna lose.
You know what, June? Oh my God, dude, this is such a difficult.
Hey, yo, you know
Wait,
what?
Mark, while you're thinking of this, Mark, let me. Here's a question. Okay, who besides Devontae, Garrett, and Brees is going to step up in the offense? We need somebody else to make that play, man.
Oh boy,
they're not giving anybody else any opportunities.
Right, it was Kenny Yeboah the other. I mean, I'm not saying Yeboah was that was a real important catch by Yeboah.
Yeah.
Yeah,
So,
but other than one catch, they're not giving anybody else any more opportunity. Like they're not giving Braylon Allen a chance. They're not giving Conklin really not giving them a chance. Like, but wait, that's beside the point. Are they winning or are they losing?
Oh God!
Yeah, I kind of gave Mark more time.
No, it didn't help.
Here's the thing about Arizona that we got to be worried about. Kyler Murray runs, right? That's a problem.
Yeah.
James Conner is like a really good running back. That's a problem for us. And then they've got Trey McBride as a tight end. There's three positions that we struggle with, and those are the positions. I still think we're going to catch a dub because I think their defense is like this one. Our offense has to step up and score 30. We have to score 30 in this game.
Wow.
So
I got us winning, and I'll be honest, I think the efficiency that we've been waiting for on 2 passing, no picks, 3 passing, no picks, I think we're entering into that lane now that Devontae Adams and what I'm seeing with Garrett, and I actually see an upswing with Brees right now, I think we're going to consistently be scoring in the mid-20s and higher. I really do.
Okay.
If we score, June, if we do score that, I'll just be 10 seconds. If we do score in the mid-20s, I think the Jets are going to win a lot of football games. Go ahead, June.
I got us losing 27-32. Like Buckeye said, it's gonna be high scoring, bro. It's gonna be high scoring. That you could count on.
Does Riley Patterson miss an important field goal?
Of course, he's a Jet now. What you got us doing? Are we winning? Or we losing? I already know. I'm not even asking you, Pete. I already know. You got us winning.
June, I'm going to pull a good one here. I think it's going to be 0-0 at the end of the game. I'm kidding, Junior.
Mark, are you ready yet?
I don't. Look, I don't know. I don't know what's going to happen. I know I want. Look, look, and by the way, I was watching. You know how NFL comes out with their splits of like, oh, it's Adam Rank and like all these other guys, and Hans. It's like they do their thing and they talk to folks. That panel is split, and they got 10 people, and I think they're split down the middle on this game. I just don't know what version of the Jets is going to show up. I think that's the thing. I understand what the Cardinals can do and the rest of it. I really think this is on the Jets. Like, if they, true, hold on. If what Buckeye said is true, and the Jets need to score 30 points to win the game, then I have them losing the game.
Okay. Well, I mean,
like that.
I do. Well, then, I mean, like I just said, I see them scoring 30. I see us scoring 20 something, and I got us with the loss. But he's right. You're gonna have to score 30 points against this team.
When the Jets haven't scored 30 all year.
Which is the reason why we're gonna lose. They're strong at every position that we have a problem with.
He's saying 27, Mark. He said it's 32-27
I
Cardinals.
mean,
Am I
look, if
right,
Corley
James?
doesn't
Yeah.
if
Yep.
Corley doesn't put the ball on the turf,
The number 4 defense is going to give up 32 points, Mark.
I know that's a
Listen, every place the Jets have a problem with, I said this before.
that's nasty,
Every
man.
position the Jets have a problem with, they excel in. Tight end, running back, scrambling quarterback. And he's one of the fastest scrambling quarterbacks you've ever seen with them little choppy feet.
Mm-hmm. The little choppy feet.
Look, he runs funny.
Murray's got a sneaky arm, too.
Nah, he's good. He can do that.
Yo, he's nice. Let me tell you something, bro. If we had a chance to get him, I would be so fucking happy that it wouldn't make sense. Real,
Well,
real
there
talk.
was talks that people were saying. There were talks people were saying. I recall in Spaces from this is year 3 of Spaces, I believe that Kyler Murray might get moved on from the Cardinals. I know there were talks about that, and
Like when
people could
Kingsbury got fired.
see that. Yeah,
Yes.
and people were saying that after Zach's contract or the 5th year or the 4th year, that they could see Kyler Murray. I see Kyler Murray staying in Arizona.
They are
Look,
not
they can
letting him
win.
go.
They
They're
can
not letting him go.
they can win the division now. And look, they drafted Marvin Harrison with Murray. I mean,
Yep.
that's going to be a formidable lineup for years to come.
That's a fact.
Yeah, I'm giving the edge. You know what? I hate doing it like this, but it's an away game. It could be that like I'll give it to Arizona just based off home field. It sounds like a cop out, but I can't. I don't know what version of the Jets are going to get. Is it the first half against Houston or the second half? I don't know which team it's going to be. I want to say it's second half, but if like what Buckeye said, you have to score 30 to win. Have the Jets scored 30 all year long?
No.
Yeah, so that's where. But I also, again, now they have 2 number 1 wide receivers. And Rodgers has chemistry with Devontae Adams. He's an instant upgrade. And then you have Garrett Wilson, who was just offensive player of the week for the AFC. So this is a very tough pick, man. I really don't know. I don't know what version of the Jets are going to get. And by the way, and no, we're not really talking about this. This will also be Ulbricht's 3rd game as head coach. So like he's starting to find, and Downing having another.
4th.
We haven't really talked about that Downing's actually worked out.
4th or 5th.
Mark. 4th or 5th, but like Downing's also worked out as the
no, it's his
coordinator.
5th. Sorry, Mark.
Yeah, but I'm just saying, like now the coaching staff is starting to have time on task. Like things are starting to make sense. Like, for example, do you really think the play call of hitting Yeboah for that really important play where, like, they played against the tendency, you know what I mean? Like, that would have happened? Like, they're actually starting to look like a professional offense. So, this is a very difficult game to pick.
Charles, go ahead, and then Hexa can jump in.
Gun to my head, I would have to predict a loss, although I think it's almost 50-50 in this game. But the one thing I take exception to, in what world can you say that you have to score 30 points to win a football game against a team that's not all world? 30 is a remarkably high number. I don't see them having to score 30 to win this game, but that's just an opinion. We'll find out.
Charles, there's other, like Arizona scored 29 against the Bears on the road. I mean,
yeah, but the Bears offense enabled that in a way. If the Jets offense plays clean, then it's not going to take 30 points. That once again, that's the beauty of Spaces, right? We all have opinions, right? And Sunday will be right or wrong.
Yeah.
Look, this team hasn't played clean all year. Look at you.
Arizona almost scored. What they scored 28 against the Bills in Buffalo.
Yeah, they can score.
Yeah, they can score.
Yeah, but that's a huge blanket statement, June. I mean, to Mark, you think they have to score 30 points to win this football game?
You know what? I don't think that they have to score 30 because I think one of the strongest points of their team is their ability to run the football and also Murray's ability to scramble, right? So if they're going to be doing that, then from a possession perspective, they're going to chew up a lot of clock. So I don't know. Like when you put the ball on the turf, you stop the clock a lot. So I don't know if that's again. I don't know what to expect out of this. I don't know what version of the Jets is going to show up in this game. That's my problem. Is it the second half or the first half against Houston? Which team?
Blasphemy. This is blasphemy.
Oh,
But I am
man,
going
this
to
wait,
hold on to these
Hold on,
receipts,
this
people.
short. This may
Hey,
be a short on Jets
you know
Commute.
whose run defense is worse than the
Mexican.
Jets?
Who's that?
Arizona's.
Oh.
Hey, you know whose passing defense is worse than the Jets? By a lot.
Oh.
Arizona's. So yeah, we can score 30. We can, and we probably will. You guys are blasphemous. If the freaking field goal kicker would just do his job, if the special team would just do their job, you guys are talking a total different game, bro. This is disgusting, bro. I want to just freaking camp out by this guy's freaking house, bro, and just catch him and just you just deserve a fair one, bro. We deserve a fair one, bro. For real. Just a one-on-one, bro. Because we be talking a whole different story about an average Arizona team, bro. This is an average team, bro. And the tides are turning. You guys said it in the beginning of the year. Mark, June. It's not going to be easy. This is a brand new team coming together, trying to gel, and it's going to take time. And then the freaking owner throws a monkey wrench and says, hey, Salah, get the fuck out of here. Let's wake this team up and see what's going on. And he does that shit, in the middle of the freaking thing. So, yeah, things are a little quirky, a little freaking out of the ordinary, which is ordinary for the Jets. So we're good. Here's the thing, though. This offense is now beginning to look like an offense. That Arizona defense, if you think that the Jets rushing defense is bad, their defense is just as bad. And you know that you said that Connor is good. I think that Hall is just a little bit better right now. And you know who else is better? Our quarterback is better. I don't care about that running little rat over there on the other side. He's going to get freaking fed some cheese on a trap, and he's going to get the malice. Have you seen our defense lately? Have you seen Williams in the middle ever since Reddick has arrived? Have you seen all those pressures? Man, this defensive line has finally awoken. You know why? Because Williams now has freaking help. 8 or 9 pressures in one game. Hey, you know the guy that we let go? The guy that we let go to Philly? He had 1 pressure the whole year. The whole freaking year. We're ready for the second half, people. The things that have gone wrong for us, the tides have to turn. It's just mathematically impossible that the bad luck can continue. So, mediocre teams in the second half, the Jets with a mediocre freaking field goal kicker, and just give me something. And I trust you that those losses will turn to wins, and we're going to be in it at the end of the freaking season. And I want to know who the hell wants to get rid of Sauce at the end of the season. I want to know who's going to want to get rid of Wilson, and who wants to get rid of just break everything down and tear everything down. Let's wait until the end of the season before you talk that talk, please.
Hexagon, do the Jet chant while you're at it.
They don't deserve it, PD. They don't freaking deserve it.
They don't deserve it, but you're going on a rant here about them being ascending and all this. Did you see this? Did you see that? I saw one win. One.
We
I'm
saw
telling
half
you,
of
bro.
football. Yeah, that's
If I had my way, bro, Zerline to be in the witness protection program somewhere in freaking Alaska, all right? That's all I got to say about that.
And you know what? To that point right there are 31 teams right now that if they had the same issue with their kicker would not be on the roster. Why is he on the roster? I'll wait.
Man, I don't know how you follow that up, Charles. Charles, did you step away?
Yo, did you guys see the leadership from Adams and Rogers in this last game? They refuse to lose, in case y'all guys didn't notice that. And in case y'all didn't notice that, we probably had 30 points if the rookie doesn't do a rookie thing. Remember that. But Rogers and Adams took that game over. And then they threw in the number one receiver in the league right now. They threw him in there. Now you put that sauce together, and now it starts getting percolated. Now it's starting to bubble. Why can't they score 30 a point, 30 a game, and run 4 or 5 straight? And then have my boy, the Optimus Mark and freaking June go to the corner and stay there for the rest of the freaking year, not say a goddamn word. That's what I want to see.
Wow. Joe Jet, you want to follow that up so June and Mark can catch their breath on that one?
Sure. At least I'll try to. Good morning, boys.
Good morning, Joe. Hopefully, Hexagon didn't wake
Good
up your
morning,
beautiful
man.
girl.
You know, I'm actually in the car, man. I'm listening to you guys laughing my ass off. Hexagon, man, I tell you, everything you just said, your whole tirade, that was me at 13 years old, man. That was me at 13, 14, 15. But you know what? As much as I want to believe everything you just said, I can't, man. I just, I think that this is a coin flip game. I really do. And like I believe it was June, right? That said, you nailed it, June. Everything they do well, we do not do well. And
Facts.
But we
and
could say the
unfortunately,
same thing about us towards their
Wait,
defense.
wait,
They're gonna have a
wait,
problem
Joe.
stopping the run, people. They're gonna have a problem stopping the run.
Wait, Joe. Including the fact that we don't play well after 13 days or 10 days of rest.
that is
We don't play well going. We don't play well going to the West
And
Coast.
that is
June,
correct.
this is what I want to know. Do the players, do the coaches actually see those stats? Do they hear the Jet fans talk about that? Do they hear the reporters? Because it's freaking being said over and over and over again to the point that it should be drilled in their freaking heads. And now, more than like I would already be in Arizona. I would already be over there freaking just practicing in Arizona. Like, be focused for this game. Like, how do they not know this by now? It'll be a travesty if they're not ready, bro.
Let me ask you guys a question on how you would operate this game. Is this a game where you do ball control to keep the ball out of Murray and the running back's hands, or
Hey, Joe, that's exactly what I would do. But let's be logical right here. It's Aaron Rodgers. He has the freedom to call an audible.
right?
And as much as I want to say he want to keep hitting the ball off, he's going to also want to do his thing. So he's going to audible out to a pass. I mean, their pass defense is not too much to worry about. It's just the fact that, like you said, do ball control to give them less time. I don't see them doing that. I see, like I said, I see it being a shootout.
Yeah,
But some,
I see this being 35-30. I just
yeah, like
I could be
Wow.
wrong. I could be wrong. I think that
Yeah,
there's a good.
But are we disrespecting the defensive line, Hassan Reddick,
It's not
Williams,
a
the way they've been playing the
Mexican.
last
It's
couple of
not a
games?
It's not
D-spec.
about
It's
that.
not a disrespect. I don't think the Jets are
It's not a dis-
a good team right now until they prove it.
Uh,
They got to prove it.
and
Jeez,
and
did
not
you
for
see the?
nothing, this pass rush, okay, would do well facing somebody like a Joe Flacco or a statue.
right. He can't
Yeah,
move.
right.
Right. Right.
These guys rush so quick that Murray is gonna just take the fucking lane and go.
Yeah,
He's
the
Yeah.
best
gone.
Speaking of
defensive game
Mary's
plan.
gonna get
wait,
cracked. Let him
wait,
keep running. He's
Tra-
5'2", 150 pounds. So he's gonna get cracked. You keep thinking that he's a mighty mouse.
well,
Hex, you gotta
well,
catch him
wait.
first. The guy is
Speaking of
fast.
taking off, Jim, why don't you take off on this last point, and then I got to wrap up. Go ahead. Good
Well,
effing morning, Jim.
what's up, motherfuckers? Hexican, you got to DM me your address because I got to send you my bill, bro. Because I fucking ran through the wall after that fucking rant. Motherfucker. Let's fucking go.
Let's go.
No, listen, that little fucking Kyler Murray. Listen, you got it. This on the defense. This game. I think the Jets gonna be able to score. I think they're starting to get into a rhythm. I think the pressure's off Garrett Wilson being a number one. Maybe that helps him fucking focus a little bit more, knowing that Devontae's there. Like you said, Kyler Murray gets fucking past the line. He's gone. Put a spy on him. Don't fucking over pursue. Let's get a fucking huge game from Quincy. He's been kind of quiet the past few weeks. Yeah, the corners again. People killing Sauce. I'm not worried about our corners holding up against their receivers. It is literally stopping the run game and Kyler Murray from fucking going off for over 100 yards rushing. And I think if the defense,
You know what, Jim? You know what, Jim?
yeah,
I got Kyler Murray over 80 yards rushing.
that's not
Understand?
good. It could happen easily. That's not good. You got it. They have to contain that guy from fucking running all over the place. And if they do that, if the defense plays a solid game, everybody plays does their thing, and they contain them and contain the run game. And maybe, if we can cover the fucking tight end, let's not make the tight end go for 10 and 100. I think the Jets are going to score points. And, I'm not, that fucking Hexian got me all in, but I'm not going to be all in until they win the next two. They got to win Sunday, and they can't fucking win Sunday and then split the bid against the Colts. You got to win the next two, and then I'm legit all in. And then you're still under 500, but at least you're 5-6. So until that, I'm trying to fucking keep it calm. But I think Jets play well that defense. I think it's all defense this week because I think the Jets are going to score. So let's hope,
All right, guys.
if it's a shootout, the nails fucking are going to get bit off again. But
Jim, thanks for coming. Charles, just make a quick point.
Have a good one, guys.
It's real quick. The best
Jim, you
defensive
too.
game, the best defensive game plan this team put together all year was against the Bills. And the reason I say that is they had containment against Josh Allen for the whole football game, for the most part. Whatever they did that day, they need to mirror it on Sunday. Have a good day, guys.
You too, Charles. Thank you, Mark.
You too,
Mark,
bro.
June, thank you as always. Guys, have a great day. Enjoy the
Thanks,
weather if
everybody.
you're in the Northeast. Mark, hopefully you dig out. You could dig a hole like June does with his Garrett Wilson take.
Oh wow.
Nah. He could create an igloo and keep his ass in there with the
Wow.
crazy
Guys,
takes.
it's been
I'm
an
done with your
entertaining
takes.
one.
You and June, two Eskimos in the igloo for all I
Wow. Well, I'll be here. We'll be here. So you guys have a great day. As always, June and Mark, thank you. Shout out to the listeners and peace out.
Thanks, everybody.
Wait. Closing words.
Mark, do you want to stop this or no?
Closing words. I got to give my closing words. CB, count your days, motherfucker.